He said it was just one drink. Just one. The kind of thing people say all the time, harmless, casual, no big deal. That's what I believed, too. I didn't know that one evening, one moment of lowered guard, would change everything about my life. I didn't know that a single decision could echo so loudly, weeks and months later, in ways I wasn't ready for. I never imagined I'd be sitting alone, staring at two pink lines, wondering how I ended up here, carrying the child of someone who didn't even stick around to see what came next. It all started at a small get-together after work. Nothing fancy. Just a few coworkers, some music, laughter, and that one drink he offered me with a crooked smile. He wasn't a stranger, we'd shared conversations before, exchanged looks that lasted a second too long, but nothing ever serious. He was charming, the kind of man who made you feel seen even in a room full of people. I didn't feel unsafe. I didn't feel like anything was out of the ordinary. He poured the drink himself and sat beside me like he had a right to be there. And I let him. The night moved faster than I expected. One moment we were laughing about some inside joke from work, the next I was feeling the kind of dizziness that didn't match the sip I took. I tried to keep up with the conversation, but my words were slurring and the room felt too warm. I remember fragments, him helping me to a room to lie down, his voice in my ear, telling me everything was okay. That he'd stay, just to make sure I was fine. And then, black. The next morning, I woke up alone. Confused, foggy, but brushing it off. Maybe I had too much. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe it really was just one drink and my body couldn't handle it. I didn't want to overthink it, so I didn't. I returned to work pretending nothing happened. He didn't say a word either. Just smiled the same way he always had, like we'd shared nothing more than a drink and a laugh. But weeks later, something didn't feel right. My body was different. My energy was drained. I ignored it at first, blaming stress or late nights, until I couldn't anymore. A trip to the pharmacy, a quiet moment in the bathroom, and those two pink lines confirmed the truth I wasn't ready for. I was pregnant. And there was no doubt in my mind who the father was. What do you do when the person responsible disappears into thin air, pretending nothing ever happened? What do you tell your family, your friends, your own heart, when you're left carrying the weight of a choice you didn't really make? This isn't just a story, it's a turning point in someone's life. And what happens next might just break your heart or restore your faith. But one thing's for sure, after this moment, nothing was ever the same again. I didn't know how to process it. I kept staring at the test, my hands shaking, my mind going numb. How could this be happening? I wasn't in a relationship. I wasn't even dating anyone. My life was just starting to make sense again after years of struggling to stay steady. And now this? A baby? From one night I barely remembered? I told myself over and over that it had to be a mistake, that maybe I misread the result. But every test I took after said the same thing, positive. No confusion. No denying it. I didn't know who to talk to. My closest friend, Maya, had always been there for me, but even she didn't know about that night in detail. No one did. I kept it to myself, thinking if I ignored it long enough, it would go away. But it didn't. It grew louder inside me, and so did the questions. Why didn't he say anything? Did he know what happened? Did he remember? Or was I just another blurry night he forgot as soon as the sun came up? At work, he acted normal, like nothing ever happened. He joked around in meetings, flirted lightly like always, and looked me in the eyes without a single flicker of guilt. And I hated that. I hated how he could move on while I stood frozen, carrying something he helped create. I found myself watching him closely, noticing things I hadn't before. His texts to other women. His charm, so carefully practiced. The way he avoided me when no one else was around. Every little detail made me wonder, was I the only one this had happened to? I needed answers. But what I didn't know was, some truths are more painful than the silence that hides them. Days turned into weeks, and the weight of the secret I was carrying only got heavier. I started noticing the smallest changes in my body. A missed meal would make me nauseous, strong smells turned my stomach, and my clothes started to feel tighter around my waist. Every time I caught my reflection, I saw someone I didn't recognize. Not because of how I looked, but because of the storm building inside me. I was no longer just a woman trying to keep her life together, I was about to become a mother. Alone. The hardest part was pretending everything was normal. Around friends, I laughed at jokes I didn't find funny. At work, I smiled when all I wanted was to scream. And every time I saw him, every time he brushed past me or sent a casual "how's your day" message, I felt a knot tighten in my chest. I wanted to confront him. Ask him what he remembered. But how do you start that conversation without breaking your own heart? Then came a twist I wasn't ready for. Maya, my closest friend, mentioned she had started seeing someone. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. And when she showed me his photo, my world froze. It was him. The same man. The one who said it was just one drink. He was dating my best friend and didn't even flinch when I was in the room. Was this some cruel joke? Did he know? Or was he playing both of us? I started pulling away from everyone. I couldn't sleep. My mind raced with thoughts, questions, what-ifs. I felt trapped in a life I didn't sign up for, tied to a man I couldn't trust, and now, watching my friend walk into something I hadn't even begun to heal from. Something wasn't right. And deep down, I knew the truth was darker than I imagined. The next few days were unbearable. Every time I saw Maya talking about him, her smile, her excitement, it crushed me a little more. I wanted to tell her everything, but how could I? What if she didn't believe me? What if it destroyed our friendship? I felt like I was stuck in a nightmare, and the clock was ticking. My belly wasn't showing yet, but the secret inside me was growing louder. I could feel it in every quiet moment, every skipped conversation, every fake smile I forced. I began watching him closer, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I needed to understand who he really was. And what I saw scared me. He wasn't just charming, he was calculated. He said the right things to the right people, always with a smile that hid something darker. One evening, I stayed late at the office. He didn't know I was still there. I saw him in the hallway with another woman, not Maya. Not me. Someone else. The same lines. The same grin. My stomach turned. Later that night, I found the courage to text him. Just one message, "We need to talk." Alone. He read it. No reply. The next day, he acted like nothing happened. But I knew he was avoiding me now, even more than before. I felt invisible. Disposable. Then something happened I didn't expect. An anonymous note slipped into my office drawer. 5 words, "You're not the only one." My heart raced. My hands trembled. Who sent it? What did they know? I looked around the room, but everyone seemed normal. Too normal. Suddenly, the silence around me felt heavy, like there were more secrets waiting to break through. I wasn't just fighting for the truth anymore, I was surrounded by it. And I had no idea who to trust. That note haunted me for days. I read it over and over again, turning the words around in my head. You're not the only one. It wasn't just a warning, it was a confession. Someone else knew exactly what I was going through. Someone else had been hurt too. But who? I started scanning every face at work, every expression, every small moment that might hint at who left it. And the more I looked, the more I realized how many people had reasons to keep secrets. It wasn't just me. One afternoon, I found a chance to be alone with Maya. My hands were sweating, my heart pounding. I wanted to come clean, to tell her everything, but before I could say a word, she cut me off. I think he's hiding something, she whispered, her voice unusually serious. I saw messages on his phone from someone else. He lied straight to my face. I stared at her, stunned. It was happening again. He wasn't just betraying me, he was playing her too. And for the first time, I saw doubt in her eyes. Later that night, I got another message. No name. No photo. Just words that made my skin crawl. You should be careful. He's done this before. My heart nearly stopped. I replied instantly, asking who it was. No answer. I felt like the walls around me were closing in. Every word, every step, every moment felt like it was leading to something darker. I wasn't just dealing with a man who ran from responsibility, I was staring into the life of someone who might be dangerous. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking back to that one drink. That one moment. What if it wasn't just bad timing? What if it was planned? I never wanted to think that way, but everything was pointing toward a truth I wasn't ready to accept. And then came the breaking point. I got a call from HR the next morning. One of the junior employees had filed a complaint. She was young, new, and afraid. And guess who it was about? Him. The same man. Suddenly, it all made sense, the charm, the secrecy, the pattern. This wasn't just my story anymore. There were others. And now, the question wasn't just what happened, but how far he was willing to go to keep it buried. I walked into the HR office with a mix of fear and relief. Fear of what would come out, and relief that someone finally spoke up. The woman sitting across from me was barely holding it together, young, soft-spoken, but visibly shaken. She didn't have to say his name. I already knew. And suddenly, the note I got, the messages, the warning, they all made sense. This wasn't just about a bad decision or a forgotten night. This was about a man who'd been getting away with things for far too long. The company launched an internal investigation. Whispers spread fast. Maya found out everything, not from me, but from the people now brave enough to speak. Her heartbreak was written all over her face. I tried to apologize, to explain why I hadn't told her sooner. She didn't say much, just nodded and walked away. I understood. Some wounds take time to even look at, let alone heal. When they finally confronted him, he denied it all. Said it was lies, jealousy, revenge. But the truth had already started piling up, testimonies, screenshots, timelines. The image he'd built began to crumble. And when I finally spoke up, telling my side, I didn't hold back. I wasn't sure if they believed me at first. But then came the twist I never saw coming. A former employee came forward. She had moved cities years ago, but she heard about the investigation through someone at the office. She described the exact same pattern, friendly conversation, casual flirting, one drink, then confusion. But she had one thing I didn't, a hidden audio recording from that night. It wasn't clear, but it was enough. Enough to show manipulation. Enough to prove a pattern. That recording changed everything. He was suspended immediately. Legal action followed. The office became a different place overnight, tense, alert, but strangely lighter, like a weight had been lifted. I thought that was the end. But weeks later, I got a message from an unknown number. No words, just a photo. A blurry ultrasound image. Not mine. Not his. But someone else's. And written beneath it were 5 chilling words, he said it was yours too. My breath caught. My hands went cold. I thought I had uncovered the truth. I didn't realize it had only just begun. I stared at the photo for a long time. The ultrasound image looked just like mine had, back when I first found out. But it wasn't mine. Someone else had been dragged into the same chaos, the same lies. And the message under it, he said it was yours too, it shook me to the core. I didn't know who sent it. I didn't even try to reply. That moment was the final confirmation I didn't need, but still somehow needed. He had done this before. And he would have kept doing it if no one had spoken up. Eventually, the HR case turned into something bigger. More women stepped forward, each with their own piece of the puzzle. He never returned to the office after his suspension. His online presence disappeared too. No more photos. No status updates. Just silence. Part of me wanted closure, an apology, even a confrontation. But I realized that sometimes, the best closure comes from knowing you survived it. Maya and I met again, weeks later. Things were different, but we talked. She had ended things with him the moment the truth surfaced. We sat quietly in that little cafe, both a little more guarded, a little more tired, but finally honest with each other. We promised to look out for each other better. And we meant it. As for me, I chose to keep the baby. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was mine. I surrounded myself with people who made me feel safe. I found a support group for single mothers, and for the first time, I didn't feel alone. My life didn't look like I once imagined, but maybe that wasn't a bad thing. Looking back, I still think about that one night. That one drink. And how something so small led to everything that followed. But this isn't just a story about pain. It's a story about strength, about truth finding its way through the lies. It's about listening to that gut feeling when something feels off. And most of all, it's about standing up even when your voice shakes. Because sometimes, the most life-altering moments begin with the words, "He said it was just one drink." But what you do after, that's what really defines you. 57.